I'm going to explain to you what free cash flow is and why it's so important in your personal finances. In an earlier video, I explained that there were 5 major expenses that you had control over: housing, transportation, food, your spouse or partner, and in most cases, the decision to have children. Controlling these costs in relation to your net income, well, it has a direct benefit to you. It's called free cash flow. Free cash flow is that money that's left over after paying all your bills. Spend that excess free cash flow, well, it's dead, never coming back again. Keep that money alive and you can do something useful with it. Build up an emergency savings, invest in the stock market, invest in real estate, open a business. It's endless the options you have. Why? Well, because that money is still alive. It's now a money tool. Your first step has to be to open up an emergency savings account. And here's a quick lesson why. I had a customer once who came in for a loan. I reviewed her credit, and it was bad. We're talking sub 500 bad. And I got talking to her as to why it was so bad. And she told me years ago that her car needed a thermostat, but she didn't have the money to get it fixed. So she couldn't get to work. Well, because she couldn't get to work, she ended up getting fired. Her car got repossessed, and then she got evicted from her house. A thermostat is not an expensive item to get fixed on a car, but she didn't have any savings. And not having anything in savings affected her for the next several years. In case you're wondering, no, I wasn't able to do a loan for her because, well, her credit was too messed up. But here's a question, and I know it's going to vary from month to month because there's this thing that happens and it's called life. And life can sometimes throw curveballs. But what day of the month do you start working for yourself? And by that I mean all your major basic expenses are paid. Your housing, car, insurance, daycare if you have children. We can calculate this. And we just want the expenses that you're obligated for and the expenses that you have to have. Your dining out or vacation, okay, now that doesn't go into this calculation. Let's take a look at a client situation that I had from a couple months ago. And we'll call him Logan. Well, Logan nets $3,900 per month. And if we take the $3,900 and divide by 30, we get $130 per day. Well, why am I saying 30? Simple math would be 30 days in a month. I know it could be a little bit more, but I'm trying to keep everything simple. And why am I using $3,900 net instead of his gross income? Well, we don't pay our bills with gross income, we pay it with net income. And so that's why I'm doing that. So $3,900 divided by 30, we get $130 per day. So that is how much he's making per day. Well, you're going to say, well, Logan doesn't work on weekends. True, but rent, utilities, and car insurance, those bills don't stop on weekends. And so what I want to do is I want to compare apples to apples. And doing it this way allows me to smooth out the income and do a direct comparison. Now Logan's fortunate. He has a roommate. And so he gets to split half the bills right down the middle. So the rent of $900, he pays half. There it is. Utilities, $300, half. There's his portion. And then there's his car payment, car insurance, gas, cell, groceries. And it totals up to be $1,650 per month. Now, if I say $3,900 net income minus $1,650, which is his expenses, I come up with $2,250 potential free cash flow. I say potential because free cash flow is the amount left over after we pay all expenses for the month from our income. Now, that free cash flow is not allocated to anyone or anything. But unfortunately, in our situation from a couple months ago, Logan only had about $300 in savings. Well, now how can this be? That's a lot of potential free cash flow. So why only $300? He's been on his job for over a year. And this is where we found out about some other spending. He was hanging out with friends on the weekend, bar hopping, weekend trips. And that's in addition to some of the often overlooked monthly expenses that end up cutting into our potential cash flow. We often overlook Uber, parking, eating out, convenience stores, prescriptions, new clothes, pet supplies, haircuts, manicures, pedicures, Amazon, alcohol, and cigarettes. But these are all expenses that'll sneak up on us and cut into this potential free cash flow. I shipped something to my daughter the other day and it was $15. Now that in itself, not much. But we pay for everything with a credit card so we can collect points, and I check online every few days to monitor the balance and make a payment if I need to. Just to ensure that we have a zero balance every month. And just like that, there was $400 on there. Well, from what? Some of the same overlooked items that I talked about, well, except manicures and pedicures, were showing up on there. Those are the things we often overlook, but they eat into this potential free cash flow. But this is where Logan and I really started discussing his expenses. We started putting a value on his weekends and his bar hopping. If he spent $400 in a weekend, he was basically spending 3 days of work. There it is. Going to the bar, dropping $100, that was like 6 hours of work. A 12-pack of beer was about an hour of work. And now we know why so many people sneak alcohol into bars. A $75 shirt, that's just over 4 hours of working. When we started breaking his expenses down this way, Logan's perspective started changing. And so much, that's basically why I'm doing this video today, because he came in for a visit on Tuesday. Now, the month following our meeting, he had somewhat changed his spending. He actually ended up with a surplus of money for that month. $473, somewhere around there, dollars is what he had for that month. Last month, he had a little over $900. He saw how minute financial decisions made every week add up and have an impact over time. Don't miss a golden opportunity to put your money to work for yourself. If you've worked an entire month and have nothing positive financially to show for it, you're like that hamster on a wheel. There's a difference between going to work because you have to and because you want to. Not stressing over money certainly makes workday a lot more enjoyable. Now, are you in a position that you can eliminate or offset any of your expenses and improve your free cash flow? Suppose you're renting an apartment house by yourself. What if you took on a roommate and split the expenses right down the middle? How much would your free cash flow improve? How close are you to paying off a car? What kind of improvement would you see there? How many days would you pick up that you're not allocating that money to somebody else? What if you bought a new car? What would the new payment, don't forget the insurance either, but what kind of payment would that do to your free cash flow? How many days would it add to your calendar that you're not earning for yourself, but instead it's going towards expenses? Use your pay per day when you're considering buying something. If you average, say, $75 net per day, and the item you want is $150, is it worth giving up 2 work days for it? If it is, then okay, fine. But I'm willing to bet using that thought process, it's going to make you think a little bit more about that next purchase. The end goal is to work as many days of the month where that money comes to you and not your expenses. That free cash flow falling to the bottom line now, well, that's a tool. And just like a carpenter doesn't leave his hammer sitting on the bench, your free cash flow is your hammer. Put it to work. Open that emergency savings account so you'll be prepared for tomorrow. Use the information that I give here and other videos as a tool to be used with other informative YouTube channels that you watch or books and articles you read. There's no single answer when it comes to finance, only useful tools. You're building a financial house, your financial house. Use the best tools available. Don't forget to subscribe and ring that bell if you're new here so you don't miss out on the next video. Thanks for watching.